Hey there, Matt here, and this video is going to go over the most powerful tool for any B2B business or marketing agency, and that is the intro offer. So the intro offer is different from the just traditional recurring service, as it's usually one time, lower risk, lower commitment, and the purpose of it is you can use it to get your foot in the door, do a good job, earn their trust, and then your main recurring service becomes very easy to sell. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 2 requirements for your offer, how to minimize the 5 types of risk, how to create a guarantee that actually works, how to price this offer, and then an example of what I did in the past. So let's get started. So I have a little framework on screen here, if you want to call it that. It's a bit too simple to be a framework, I would say. It's more of like a list with shapes. But there are 6 main parts that I think create an amazing intro offer. The first is it either has to make them more money, or it has to save them time. Almost anything that someone buys in a business-to-business sense can be drawn back to one of these 2 things. The second, it either has to be measurable based on actual data and analytics, or there has to be a tangible deliverable. They have to get something. Number 3 is an interesting and important one, and there has to be 100x return on investment potential. And that's kind of an arbitrary number, but it's good thinking to say the least. If someone is cold traffic, they're going to be the most skeptical, reserved, conservative buyer on the planet, right? So unless what you're selling has the potential to make them $1 or $100 per every dollar that they're essentially risking, it's going to be hard to sell. So it has to be 100x plus ROI potential, and you have to be able to explain that very logically and where their BS meter can't go off the chain. Number 4, a great intro offer completely eliminates the 5 types of risk, which we'll go over. Number 5, it's 100% productized, and you can do it in a very systematic way. And number 6, you should be able to fulfill your intro offer at $250 per hour or more. That doesn't necessarily mean you charge by the hour, but if you're going to charge $5,000, for example, you should be able to fulfill it within 20 hours or less of manpower or labor, whatever you want to call it. So these are the 6 things that I believe will make up an amazing intro offer for you. And I have here something where to show you an example of what I was doing and some notes, but let's talk about the 5 types of risk before we go any further. So the 5 types of risk, there's the financial risk that comes from your fee, which is what most people understand easily enough, where you say, I'm gonna get you X result or your money back, or X result or you don't pay. But there's actually 4 other types of risk. And this still matters, of course, but it's going to be the lowest level and the least important once you work your way up the food chain and get onto these bigger companies. The other 4 will actually matter a lot more. And in the perspective or in the point of view of the bigger companies, like just promoting, your or you don't pay or a full refund guarantee actually makes you look very newbie and very beginner, because just by focusing on that so hard, it kind of implies that you don't know the other 4 types of risk exist. Either you don't know them, which means you're kind of stupid, and why would they want to work with a stupid person, or you're just trying to pretend like they don't exist and they're going to think you're dishonest. So let's go with an example here. If you are running someone's Facebook ads for an e-commerce brand and you charge them $5,000 a month for 3 months for $15,000 total, and you said, your ads are going to do something, or they don't pay, they get their money back. That's fine, $15,000 back, sure. But if you screwed up the average e-commerce store's brand or ads for 3 months, like they're probably going out of business. These e-commerce stores in this situation, like most of them aren't that stable or that resilient or ran that well where they could just have their ads screwed up for a 3-month or 6-month period of time, whatever your guarantee is. So the financial risk of you screwing it up is actually much greater than the financial risk that comes from your fee. And that's an important thing to realize. The third thing is that if you screw it up, there's going to require a lot of time and effort to fix that. Not only will they have to fix what you screwed up, but they didn't get the result they were paying for to begin with, so they're essentially back where they started, but after a lot of extra time and effort. It's a very interesting form of risk, but it's present in almost every business transaction. The fourth type of risk is a very important type of risk. It's reputation risk. This will always be there to a degree, but it's very, very brutal and very, very present as you get into business with larger companies. So when you're trying to get a job or trying to win a contract for, let's say, a Fortune 500 company, and there's a hiring person like a director of marketing who hires you, like if you really screwed up for that company, they're at risk of getting fired, and then they have no job, their reputation is ruined, they're not going to get hired anywhere else, they're going to lose their house, their family's going to starve. Like, and I'm being dead serious right here. A lot of the time when you get to bigger companies, the person hiring you doesn't care so much that you actually grow their company because they're just an employee there. They care more that you don't get them fired. And this is the reason why people go with big brands or like these multinational corporations where they know that it might not be great and a boutique agency or a boutique service might be better in terms of performance, but at the very least, it's not going to be terrible. And that's a very powerful thing. No one's going to get fired for hiring, Ernst and Young for their accounting, for example, but they are going to get fired for hiring Joe the bookkeeper, just who's a solo operator. And it's a very important thing to consider as you get up the food chain, so to speak. And then the final risk is ego risk, and that takes the shape of many forms, but the most important one is like they're trying and they're failing. That looks bad for them. It leads to self-limiting beliefs. Even if they blame it on you, others aren't going to see it that way. Their superiors, their bosses, their investors, themselves, their peers, their employees. Doesn't look good if you screw it up for them. So these are the 5 types of risk that we really need to completely eliminate with our intro offer. And the important thing to realize and why an intro offer is so crucial, so vital, is that it's simply like not possible to eliminate all 5 types of these risks with your main recurring service. With your intro offer, it's lower risk, lower commitment. You're just kind of doing something to prove yourself. But if someone's handing over their entire email marketing or Facebook ads or something to you, like you can't really mitigate the risk to where there is no risk if you screw it up. That risk is always going to be present. And I'm going to show you how this is not true. It's actually the opposite with an intro offer if you do it right. And that's why it's so powerful. So these are the 5 types of risk. I think I've explained them pretty well, but that's for you to decide. Let's go back to our original here. So what I've been planning to do is to have some notes down here, but I'm going to go one step at a time. What I did at my previous agency to basically create a great intro offer. So for a little background, I had an e-commerce landing page and CRO agency that got acquired in July 2023. And CRO is conversion rate optimization, if you don't know what that is. So let's go conversion rate optimization. So basically, conversion rate optimization is the process of increasing the percentage of conversions from a website or mobile app. In this case, it was e-commerce brands. So when they're running paid ads for, let's just say, a bottle of vitamin D, a supplement, if their original conversion rate was 2% and I was able to make it 2.5%, that's a 25% improvement. They're going to get 25% more revenue, more sales for the same cost. So that's basically a very valuable service. But CRO is a very, technically not challenging, but intensive service. I charge 8 to 15K per month with a 6-month minimum contract as my main recurring service. And it's very difficult to sell that to people, as I found out. So what I did is I had a intro offer, which was a landing page. So the landing pages, they're running their paid ads to it. And like I said before, if they're running paid ads to a landing page that has 2% conversion rate, for example, and I could make a new landing page that got 2.5%, that's very valuable. That's a 25% improvement. If they're spending, $100,000 on ads a month, which is 3,333 per day, not out of the question for the average brand that I was working with, that's like saving $25,000 to get the same result. Or if they spent the same amount on the ad spend, they would get $25,000 more revenue, right? So very valuable. The landing pages costed $2,500. So it's just, good risk and reward here, but let's get into it. So I'm going to do it here. Landing pages could make them a lot more money if successful. And that's basically it. You could argue that it saves them time by doing it because they're going to do it anyway, but I wouldn't consider a landing page the main primary goal is to save them time, right? Not really. Landing pages are measurable with A/B testing tools or Google Analytics or a lot of different things. So it checks that box. So let's get the marker out here. Let's go just put a check and check. 100 times ROI potential. So like I said, if someone is spending, let's just go $3,000 per day to keep it simple over the course of a year, that is basically $1.1 million in ad spend, right? If my landing page and my landing page offer was I'm going to make you a landing page that gets you basically 10% better conversion rate, or I'm going to give you a full refund, right? So if we had a 1.1 million times a 10% increase, that's basically, let's actually do it properly. That's basically like, so what was the original here? Basically the, $115,000 potential increase if I hit my guarantee, right? So 100 and what was that? 15,000 is a 46 times potential return on investment. But that is with the understanding that if I was able to get their landing page that much better, right? If it was that much better, if I got it by 20% or 30% or 40% or 50% or double, twice as good, this 46 times ROI over the course of a year could balloon up to hundreds of times, right? So on the surface level, it could be better, but my minimum guarantee multiplied by the average spend was a 46x potential ROI. And like I said, it would be better if it was 100x, but that is just if they were spending $3,000 per day. Many of them spent more, so if they're spending $6,000, it's essentially 100 times or more. But that's the kind of thinking. You want to easily be able to explain to people like how this is worth, 100x potential. So it's very easy. Just show them the math. How much are you spending per day on ads? 5,000. Okay, here's the math on that. You can see it right before their eyes. They can't argue that. It's completely logical. And that's something that you need to do for your actual stuff as well. So my offer and completely eliminates the 5 types of risk. Let's go back down here and put it over here just for the sake of, we'll go with cleanliness. So let's make this a different color here. We'll go like that. So for my financial risk is if my landing page doesn't beat yours in a 30-day, or it doesn't increase your, well, I said revenue per session. I know I said conversion rate, but that's revenue per session takes into account average order value as well. Like that's the only difference. Revenue per session by 10% or more, I will give you a full refund in a legally binding contract. Let's just drag and drop these a little bit more. So that is how I took care of the financial risk. Wow, that's a big arrow. So the financial risk is just like that in terms of my fee. But think about it here from their perspective. Not all tests are going to be better, right? So if, let's just say they're spending that $3,000 per day for 30 days, so that's $90,000, right? What if my landing page was worse than theirs? So what if it was 20% worse? So if it was 20% worse the whole time and it got 50% of the traffic, right? If it got 50% of the traffic, that means $45,000 worth is going to that 50%, right? And if it was 20% worse, that means they would only be getting $37,500 in ad spend if it was like 20% less versus 45,000. That's kind of awkwardly explained, but I hope you get the picture there. So I don't want to, embarrass myself with math on camera. I'm pretty sure I can do this, but now, like, they paid $2,500 to lose $7,500 in this situation. So that is a form of financial risk with me screwing it up. So what I did is, in order to protect the downside in case our page performs worse, we will split the traffic 90% to the original and 10% to the to our page until it's proven to work. Well, I said proven to convert at the same level or better, basically. So what that means is that 45,000, let's just open a new tab here. So now, or 90,000 rather. So now I'm only putting 10% of that there, right? So now I'm only spending $9,000 on mine until it's proven to work. If it was, 20% worse, that's $1,500 lost now instead of 7,500. That's basically 1/5 of the risk. It's just one of those things. That's kind of the thinking if you want to create a perfect intro offer that you have to do. For time and effort risk, there is no, if it doesn't work, we can just turn off the test in one click and give you a refund. It doesn't take any time to fix. And that's just how it is, right? It's an A/B test. If it doesn't work, whatever. Same thing with the reputation risk in this case. It wouldn't always be the same, but if it doesn't work, we're not going to screw up your entire business and get you fired and your family be homeless. We'll just turn it off, right? And for ego risk over here, this is just an experiment. If it doesn't work, no harm, no foul. We always need to be testing and trying to improve. We will just give you your money back and we will go on our way, or we will go our separate ways, right? So these are the ways that I completely eliminated these 5 types of risk. And think about it. Where is the risk now? If it doesn't get them a 10% minimum better result, they're getting a full refund, legally binding. There's pretty much no downside risk because we've split the traffic. Where was that? So it's basically no risk, right? If it doesn't work, we'll just turn it off in one click, 60 seconds or less. Same with the reputation and the ego. It's just an experiment. It's just a little test. Lots of tests don't work. No problem. We're going to give you a refund anyway, and then we can just go our separate ways. So this is exactly how I eliminated the 5 types of risk. And for the notes here, I'm just going to say, completely eliminated, or I don't know, 10% better result or your money back, easy to turn off and fix. I don't know. That's just a simple way to describe it. And then productized is number 5 here. And productized basically means, like, we go, what is a productized service here? A productized service packs the skills and know-how of a service provider into a standardized solution for a narrowly defined target customer. So in my case, we had landing page templates. There's 3 types of landing page templates in e-commerce. There's sales pages, which is what most people would think of when you hear the term landing page. There's listicles, and there's advertorials. So we had a bunch of templates for each. You pay us $2,500 and tell us what type you want, or we'll decide. You get a landing page in return. There's no negotiations. There's no custom work. There's no any of that, right? And this is very important because all of your systems, all of your hires, all of your employee training, all of your onboarding, all of your marketing can be focused on just the productized service, and you can get it much better and much more efficient, much more likely to get the desired result over time. So we had templates, and all our systems and processes were built around this. Very important. It's not really a good intro offer if it's just a bunch of custom work. It has to be standardized, productized, repeatable, however you want to describe it, but it is important that it is. And the last one is it's fulfilled at $250 per hour or more. And this is important because after you pay for your ads, your customer acquisition cost, your employees, your softwares, your non-revenue producing roles like HR, finance, when you get big enough, legal, and then you pay taxes, like if it's not $250 an hour per more, there's not much money left at the end of the day. And you kind of just aren't making any profit on this service. So it's very, very important that when you talk about pricing, you don't just arbitrarily do it. Where you want to start with this is however long it takes you, you know, times that by $250 per hour, or however long it takes your employees and that kind of stuff. If you have 3 employees working on it in 5 hours each, that's 15 hours, for example. That's not 5 hours. Or for every hour of labor, like times by 250, with kind of, in my opinion, like even if it took you 30 minutes, you wouldn't charge $125. I wouldn't really recommend you doing intro offer for anything less than 1,000 per se, just because the the less you charge, the worse the type of customer you're going to get is. The more demanding they're going to be, it's going to be just too annoying. And even if you sell like 5,000 units at $125 each, like that doesn't really add up to anything. It's better to sell 50 or 500 units at $1,000 each, in my view, at least. So we were able to deliver our landing pages in 5 to 10 hours. So we charge $2,500. So you do the math, 250 per hour to $500 per hour. So that is how it worked for us. So if you want to replicate what I did, like not really meaning you need to have a landing page agency, but just all of this stuff, like this is the chart, or these are the 6 steps. You don't really need the chart that you would want to go at, right? So let's go down to the notes, making them more money or saving them time. Everything in B2B can be drawn back to these two things. It has to be one or the other. Bonus points if it does both. There's certain things that are going to do both, right? But be honest with yourself. I would not consider landing pages primary role is to save them time. It's to make them more money. They might save them time because you're doing it instead of them having to do it, but that's not their primary focus, for example. For measurable or tangible deliverable, if you cannot prove the worth of it based on actual data and numbers, you have to have a clear, sexy deliverable that, is concrete, not, abstract, rather. Like some people sell these weird services and that it's just like it needs to be concrete. So an example of here, what would that be? If it's hard to measure actual data of logo or something, but there's a clear deliverable. They have a logo that they like that represents their brand. I don't know. That's just an example. So cold traffic buyers from ads, cold emails, content, etc., are the most hesitant buyers on the planet. You need to convince them that they could get $100 or more for every dollar they risk, or it will be hard to get them to buy. So let's go to the eliminates all types of risk. The risk for it is far better to have a offer with a 50 out of 100 potential reward and a 10 out of 100 potential or 10 out of 100 risk than it is to have an offer with a 95 out of 100 potential reward but a 90 out of 100 risk. The discrepancy between risk and reward is what's important here, not the total potential. That's a good way to describe it. I guess that'll be up to you. But it is very true. Like if the risk is even 40 out of 100 and the potential reward is 40 out of 100 and the risk is like 1 out of 100, it's a no-brainer offer. Everyone's going to take it. Not everything has to completely revolutionize their entire business, and that's, I feel, lost on some people. Productized is there cannot be any custom work or proposals or any of that nonsense. That is not a productized service. They pay X, they get Y. All of your employee training, Processes, systems, marketing, communication, and fulfillment is based around this productized service. Very, very important. You know, if that's not true, then this is kind of pointless. And like I said before, after you pay for ads, customer acquisition costs, sales commission, appointment setting commission, labor, non revenue producing roles such as finance, HR, legal, software, taxes, etc., there is not much left over if you are charging under $250 per hour. And that's just the truth of it. You might be, annoyed by that or saying, oh my God, there's no way, but the fact is a fact. And if you don't want to accept that, you're not going to grow past a certain point. So keep that in mind. I hope this video was very helpful with how to create a great intro offer. I hope you're able to do that for your own business. That would please me very much. If you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.